like remotes. Acting super, you get soaked. That's murder she wrote. I'm no joke, but these niggas crazy. They got me laughing like I sacrifice.
That is Jay Plaza, Kawhi Leonard laugh from YouTube. Shout out to the man. That was a pretty sick track. We are here with our free agency predictions and discussion podcast right in advance of free agency at midnight tonight. And we're just about to get started. Let me bring Fazal in and we can do a quick recap, some predictions, and just have a little bit of fun on this short podcast, all right? Fazal, here we go, buddy.
What's up?
Free agency, man.
Finally upon us.
I'm having heart palpitations, man. It's difficult.
You know how... Well, I wish I could say the same. You know how last time I was like, I'm not feeling anything because just everything had gotten so stale, right? Well, even though reports have come out about, Kyrie going to Brooklyn, supposedly, and Kemba going to Boston, definitely, and D'Lo probably leaving Brooklyn, and all that other big stuff. Yeah, until any of that actually officially happens, I'm still like, whatever.
That's fair. Can you really even trust ESPN's reporting at this point? I don't know. I got a text from one of my Laker friends, Laker fan friends, I guess is the best way to put it. And he was just freaking out because Stephen A. Smith said Kawhi might come to LA, he might come to the Lakers. And I mean, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. I don't know if this was in private or in our last episode. But Kawhi is a really tight circle. I don't trust any of the reports that come out about him. Simply because you have no idea what he's thinking unless it comes straight from Uncle Dennis. So I don't know. It's a toss-up for the big free agents right now, but definitely you brought up Kemba Walker. A lot of Mavs fans wanted Kemba Walker as a major star on this team, a major pickup in free agency, because it looked like Charlotte was just trying to move on. Unfortunately, it seems like he's going to sign with the Celtics.
Right, yeah, not much you can do. I guess I understand the angst because there is I'm not going to say a completely valid connection, but I guess in light of, the whole immediately signing with Boston, but at least for a couple of months, it kind of looked like there was speculation from like legitimate NBA pundits / sources that Kemba might go to Dallas, right? And the idea of putting him next to Luka and Kristaps, like, I don't think I really need to sell that to anybody. It's awesome. And now just like that, it's out of the way. So, I don't know what to say, man. Like, it's not great, but it's not an indictment on the Mavericks or anything, and it's not like totally damning for our prospects. So
Absolutely not. And I agree with you there at your conclusion. A lot of people have said this on Mavs Twitter already, but I'll reiterate it. The Mavs are playing with house money, right? They already made the move that they needed to make, which is bringing in Kristaps Porzingis. It looks like they're going to sign him to the max, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think that alone makes this a good free agency season. However, and I tweeted this yesterday, a lot of Mavs fans have gone from the hype of drafting Luka and tanking every year, and Dirk being clearly hobbled and about to retire every single season and the debate surrounding that, to immediately thinking that we were going to become championship contenders. And yes, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but no, not really, because there was a large amount of people that wanted to believe that we had a solid chance of getting that lottery pick, signing a max free agent, re-signing KP, and going into the season with a roster surrounding that. And I'm not saying that that was entirely impossible, but it's a process, right? It's a process. You got to prove that you're able to win. The Mavs have been tanking for 3-4 seasons now, right? Having Luka, having KP, that isn't enough. You're asking a guy in the prime of his career who might be one of the top 3 players in the NBA to to basically put it all on hold and take a flyer on the Mavs. And he's not getting the max money there. I mean, he could just look at KD, for example. Look at Kawhi. If they don't sign with the teams that they're currently with, they are bound to lose a lot of money, and that is a huge incentive. However, we have been talking about, and this goes back, I think, to the episode we did with Jay, episode 0 of season 2, where you brought up Malcolm Brogdon. And yesterday I saw Reese Conkle also bring that up. So I wanted to go straight to the horse's mouth and kind of get your take on Malcolm Brogdon, why he is somebody that you'd like to see the Mavs throw money at despite being a restricted free agent.
Well, that's good that you asked me today, considering I just did a little more research on it today. So basically, there's a lot to like about Brogdon. I already tweeted about this on the RL account, but I guess for anybody who's somehow listening to the pod but not seeing our tweets, this is for you, I guess. So what I like most about Brogdon is that he's just such an efficient shooter. 3 seasons in the league, and he has shot basically like close to 40%, if not outright above it in each season. His overall field goal percentage is not bad as well. So there's that, and he also is close to a 90% free throw shooter, and this season, in fact, he hit the 50, 40, 90 marks.
Right.
He's a good ball handler, as in, like, he can make plays for others, and he doesn't turn over the ball much himself, so that's nice. He's played anywhere from basically, like, throughout, at least in these playoffs that I saw, depending on like who was available at the time, he's played anywhere from like the second option to all the way to the 5th option in that Bledsoe, Middleton, Brogdon, Giannis, Lopez lineup.
Right.
And he's excelled in every spot. Like, no matter how much pressure you put on him, I guess the only thing that wouldn't be good for him would be like if you asked him to be the first option, which honestly, if you're asking him to do that on a team with Luka and Kristaps, you might need to get your head examined, or maybe like you're Rick and you're putting out one of your weird lineups that we're all going to complain about. But, I guess that's just Rick being Rick in this hypothetical world.
You're very right, man. Rick Carlisle is Rick Carlisle, but one thing that I can glean from just being such an avid fan for so many years, and of course running this podcast, running the website, kind of developing my eye test, is no matter what kind of hair-pulling lineups that Rick might pull out, like not playing Ryan Brokoff for 42 games this season, right?
Don't remind me.
It's he really values high IQ guys and vets, right? And I understand why. You gotta lead by example on a team where you have like 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds. But last season we saw Luka had the ball in his hands, and that's primarily because there's nobody better than him on the team, or there was nobody better than him on the team, right?
Yeah, I'm basically lifting up this like right off one of the most recent Ringer podcasts, but Luka had like the highest usage rate, I should say, of a rookie in like in NBA history, I think, and that was close to 30%, which is a huge workload. And Kristaps is his usage percentage is like, in his last season he played without Carmelo on the Knicks, that was like 32%, I think. So whoever your third guy is, and so on, they should probably be like have a lesser usage rate, as in, possessions don't always finish with them as much, so the ball can be in Luka and Kristaps' hands more. And that's another reason why I love Brogdon, because for his last season, his usage rate was like barely above 20%, which is like basically league average. And when I looked on NBA.com and I saw the advanced stats on there, I set a filter for like minutes played above 750, and of like the 300-ish players that showed up, Brogdon's usage rate was like right in the middle. So he's he was like surrounded by names like Dion Waiters and Harrison Barnes. So, you know, not too bad. I feel he could he fits right in with everybody. I think he's got great size, so he could switch positions. And that's kind of the vision of the Mavs that Cuban stated a couple years ago. How they kind of wanted to be like, built like the Warriors, and have like basically positionless basketball and be able to switch 1 through 5, kind of. Brogdon's not the best defender. He is his his foot speed has always been a concern in the NBA. He gets blown by on defense quite a bit, and that's sort of a shame because he is a smart two-way player, and he was known for defense in college and kind of showed flashes of it his rookie season. But just I guess adjusting to the NBA in that regard hasn't been too good for him. So that's one thing I'd like to see if he comes to Dallas, if he can like improve on his man defense and not getting burned on switches as much and all that stuff. That would be great. That would basically make throwing the bag of 20+ million to him totally worth it in my opinion. It's still worth it now, but like if you could do that, then that contract might even be a steal considering how much the cap might go up in the preceding years. So
Right.
yeah, that's basically like the short case of why we should sign Brogdon.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to unpack there, but just sticking to Brogdon himself for a second. Um, Obviously, he's a restricted free agent. I don't know what his max contract is. I'm trying to look up what the max he can be offered is, and I have no idea.
I looked it up when I was doing my research. Like on shamsports.com, which is a great website, they have like resources that they have like the little capology thing, or I forget the exact name, but basically you can fiddle around with like contracts for players, every player on every team, and like renounce rights for a team, or waive or buyout or stretch and stuff like that, and see how that affects the cap for a certain season. And for Brogdon, his max I found is going to be like 27.2 million, which that's probably not worth it. But again, like 80% of that is like 20.8 million, I think, and I'm fine with that. I would pay that to Brogdon.
Yeah. The what I'm reading from Luke Adams at Hoops Rumors says that he's expected to have around 60 million over 4 years. Obviously, that'll be different if Milwaukee gives him an early contract. What I have noticed, first off, on the defensive end, his footwork is okay. His physique is his body allows him not to get blown by and like just bullied by people as big as him or bigger. As a tertiary option on offense, I think definitely as a kind of set shooter, he definitely has proven himself alongside guys like Giannis and Bledsoe. So I definitely agree with you and Reese that the fit is really really potentially good. My question is, now that Mirotic has decided that he's gonna go back to Europe, are there really any downsides to Milwaukee just giving him the max amount that they could, or do we think that Milwaukee's gonna try to be a player in somebody else's contract?
Um, as in by the max, do you mean like the absolute max of 27 million or whatever, or do you mean just like something large like 22 million?
Something larger than what we can offer him, because the Mavericks are re-signing Brokoff, right? So we have, I think, $28.8 million in cap space.
And that's after Kristaps.
Is it after Kristaps? I'm not even sure. I don't think it's after Kristaps, but we can go over the cap for him.
Gotcha. Would it be? Well, I don't know, because like Milwaukee's already been clearing up cap, but with doing things like trading away Tony Snell for what, John Lure, right? And then they just waived George Hill, even though they're trying to get him back. Mirotic going to Europe, yeah, that's that's something. I feel like the Bucks obviously would have tried to get him back, but he was already, according to the ESPN cavalcade, getting interest from teams like the Jazz for what 3 years, 45 million ish. So um, I haven't looked into it too much, but I haven't seen any kind of indication of all the Bucks free agents. I haven't seen any huge indication about like them trying to really desperately get Mirotic back. So I'm not sure how much he factors into their plans, but with all their moves they've made recently, like signing, giving Eric Bledsoe that contract extension, that was one thing. But I think that's probably their biggest mistake because all the moves cap wise they've made have been decent to like outright good, but that one was like that's tough. That puts them in the tough space, and they're still trying to keep George Hill even after waiving him just to re-sign him on a lower amount than like whatever that cap hit would have been. Um, and then they have to keep Chris Middleton. They're probably going to give him the max. They have indicated that they'd like to keep Brook Lopez, I'm pretty sure, because he was a huge part of their offense, being able to stretch the floor at the 5 spot and provide like solid interior defense. And then you still got to pay Giannis his money, and then you've got like the rest of the team to worry about. I feel like because pardon me, didn't Milwaukee get rid of Ilyasova as well?
Yeah, they did.
Right. So they've been shedding all the biggest contracts on their books. I feel like they might be trying to clear up space for somebody new. I don't know who, because Milwaukee's probably not like a free agency destination, but like if you can create a trade or something, that would be like I feel like that would be nice because the Bucks are the Bucks are obviously a contending team, but they could use like I don't feel like their roster is exactly complete yet. They could use a couple more pieces, and you kind of have to wonder if Brogdon's like worth putting them basically in the luxury tax because at this point, it seems like he might be getting over 20 million from no matter who signs him. So if somebody's the odd man out, as that whoever reported it said, I think both Woj and Zach Lowe, it probably might be Brogdon.
Yeah, the reason why I brought up Mirotic is I had not seen any indication that the Bucks really wanted to re-sign him. But you're right, his contract was, going to be around 45 to 50 million dollars, right? And he went back to Barcelona, so let that be what it is. The other point that you brought up that I think we should touch upon again is Brook Lopez. He has a couple of destinations that he could go to. He's a pretty sought after free agent. Chris Middleton, obviously, and I think you brought up one more, George Hill, right? So yeah, there are cards in the deck stacked against Milwaukee, which is why I think Brogdon is definitely an attainable contract. But then the other question is, if the idea is you sign Beverly for under 40 and you extend an offer to Brogdon before the 6th, that you just believe that the Bucks will not match because they can't afford to, then you pay Ryan Broekhoff. You go over the cap for Kristaps Porzingis. You still have Maxi Kleber out there. Is Dorian also a free agent?
I think they extended the qualifying offer to both Maxi and Dorian, so they're both restricted.
Okay, dope. I think Maxi's gonna get an offer from somebody else as well.
Yeah, he's been generating like attention lately.
Maxi is one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, man. Like, it's one thing to see it on TV, but I went to a game and I saw him lock down Harden in that second half of the season, and that was insane. It was just every single time that Maxi got switched on to James Harden, Harden looked like he had never faced somebody like this before. It was crazy. I was getting insanely hyped. But besides Beverly and Brogdon, because Brogdon is kind of somebody that you're not guaranteed to get. Obviously, things could go really badly for the Bucks. They could not get Brook Lopez. They could retain Chris Middleton, and then they could go over the cap to match whatever you're paying Brogdon. Obviously, it's a difficult decision to make, and there are reasons why the Bucks wouldn't do it. But if all of the worst happens in this scenario, who do you think is the best shooting guard or wing out there that we need to get?
Okay, the best shooting guard or wing. So I don't know about shooting guard specifically because not a lot of names come to mind at the moment. Like, D- maybe Danny Green, but if you're gonna extend that out to like wing, so I'd guess like shooting guard slash small forward. The two names that immediately come to mind for me are Terrence Ross and Bojan Bogdanovic.
Right. I was thinking Bojan, Tobias Harris. If we stretch Wave Lee, we can make that work, right?
Are you talking about specifically stretch wave Lee and then get Bojan and Tobias?
I'm just assuming that one of those contracts has to come off the books because I don't know if the Mavs want to be paying that amount to Lee.
Right.
And he seems to be the contract that is just taking up way too much space on the roster. So
Yeah.
he's the odd man out, I believe.
Yeah, he should be, but I don't know if it's actually prudent to stretch wave Lee because that's what does that do? That takes his salary and that converts it into something that we're paying out over 3 years, right?
Yeah, and his contract ends next season, I believe.
Yeah, it's just one more year left on his deal. So that would be all right. That's like a reasonable hit to have per year, and that would certainly clear up a ton of space for us for like this free agency period. But I mean, you're already seeing how like a stretch wave can be disadvantageous in the long term because you just had this basically play out with the Lakers. They had to do so many things, so much maneuvering to open up that final max space for either one superstar free agent or a couple of nice role players. And who they had on the books was Luol Deng and his contract that was stretch waived. So I don't want to be in that position in 3 years from now talking about, oh man, we still have that last year of Courtney Lee on the books. That's not going to do it for me. I would rather like attach one of those second round picks we got from Detroit, if not both of them. I don't know. I don't care what it takes, and just ship him out to a team like, I guess, I would say Atlanta, but they've taken on enough salary already. So just some team like that, just to like completely get him off the books.
Yeah. Damn, the way that you put that, I definitely agree with you. And the fact that his contract expires next off season or after next season is
Right.
it's kind of just, I can't see the Mavs doing it. I can't see Donnie Nelson going ahead with it because it just seems impatient. I guess the good thing here is that Bojan is still out there. That you can get him and Pat Bev for hopefully less than their max, like decently less than their max for both of them. And you sign those two guys and you roll into the season with whoever you already had, re-signing everybody that is off the books or is a restricted free agent right now. And that's not a bad team. I mean, Kristaps Porzingis is coming back. It's easy to underestimate or overestimate the impact that's going to have, but safe to say that's at least another 18 points a game, right? And his interior defense is going to mean a lot, especially comparing him to DeAndre Jordan. But on the flip side, from the Mavs, we have the Celtics, who Kemba has basically decided that he is going to go to. Al Horford, Kyrie Irving leaving the Celtics. I honestly had them pegged a week ago as the biggest loser of free agency. And I guess those things flip around. What do you think about Danny Ainge and his quote-unquote asset management?
Well, I think we're simultaneously seeing the best and the worst of it because I guess it's not people make him and Maury and all those other smart GMs out to be like complete wizards and I no pun according to one of your last tweets which I don't know if we should still have but uh, um, anyway um, yeah so people make all those I guess best GMs like Ainge and Maury and Presti out to be like some of the out to be doing some unbelievable stuff that oh my gosh I could never create that much cap space. A team like the Mavericks could never create that much cap space for whatever weird reason. Or how do they get all these players each year that can be used in trades? You know, like how does Terry Rozier already up his value to be like a $10 million a year player, which I'm not sure if he is anymore, but at the time that was a valid statement. um, so that's great that Ainge can identify an asset and know how to like build one up, as we've seen, and collecting draft picks and all that stuff. And um, that's great because like even in the worst case scenario, if Kyrie and Horford left and they didn't get anybody to replace like either of those guys, you still have like Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, all the other young draft picks on their roster, as well as like some undervalued guys like Daniel Tice. So it's not to say that they're hopeless, but also you see how this plays out with like, you win some and you lose some with Kyrie and Horford leaving, and that's like a huge part of your identity leaving, and now you have to like scramble quickly and decide, hey, where do we go from here? Do we completely give into a rebuild, or do we try and get somebody else? And now they've gotten Kemba, and I guess they've solidified their place as, not solidified, but retained their position as a top four team in the East. Um,
Top five.
so yeah, top five, I guess. Um, so yeah, I don't know, man. It's just like kind of chaotic. Like, you can laugh at the Celtics for being all about business and then getting burned, but then you can also, I guess, sort of admire them because even though they've gotten burned, they can still, within the course of like a single free agency period, be able to heal from that and not even have that like register in terms of like a team record or anything. Um, I don't know what to make of it. I guess some part of it is luck, but some part of it's skill.
Yeah, everything has a dice roll involved in it in basketball and sports. But Danny Ainge has shown that he has the gravitas as well as the acumen to recognize, just like you said, a good player that can appreciate and value. And of course, he is very good at managing his assets. But let's follow the. Okay, that I was gonna say Trail of Tears, but that's awful. Just forget that I said that.
God.
Let's
Usually I'm the one making those jokes.
exactly. I'm just inspired, Fuzzle. Let's follow the breadcrumb trail that Hansel and Gretel, or should I say, Horford and Kyrie have kind of left for us. Kyrie is, unless things just go awry in the next few hours, he's going to sign a 4-year, $141 million contract with the Nets, and that is going to lead to them letting go of D'Angelo Russell, who apparently Minnesota is really confident that they can acquire after trading Andrew Wiggins. So, real quick, let's just cover, first off, what does Minnesota think they're doing? Do they really think that they can move on from Andrew Wiggins' contract just supremely easily?
I want to say like that's ridiculous, but I just said how teams can clear up cap space however they want if they're creative enough. I currently don't see how they can do it, but you can, I guess, sort of make the case to a team like, like, let's say, take for instance the Knicks. Let's say they don't get KD, they don't get Kyrie, they don't really get much of anybody, and I guess even DeMarcus Cousins is like, hey man, I can get $12 million or $20 million from another team. I don't have to waste it on the Knicks, even if it's for just 1 year. And let's just say they get really burned, which might happen. And then they have all this cap space, and they're like, what do we do with this? Because our team is just Dennis Smith Jr., Frank Ntilikina, maybe, R.J. Barrett, what's his face, Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson, and they're nice players and all, but there's nothing, I guess, altogether that special about them apart from maybe Barrett. And that's a really young roster, and you have all this cap space, and you're not using it on anything. Well, let's say Minnesota needs to clear up space because D'Angelo Russell decides, hey, I'm going to go to Minnesota. I'm going to reunite with Cat. All I need is the money now. So they could, I guess, potentially offload Wiggins in a salary dump just to the Knicks for, like, I don't know, a second-round pick in Ntilikina or something. And, that contract is now New York's problem. But, hey, the Knicks have, like, basically no timetable in this scenario, and they can just spend that entire month of that contract trying to, like, build Wiggins up to be, if not a good player for the team who can contribute to a winning team, then at least to be, like, some type of asset, right? But I do agree that contract for Wiggins, even though it's not, like, something completely backbreaking like Chris Paul's $30+ million, even though Wiggins is young, that's like you're still committing like $25 million for what, 5 seasons?
It's more than that. Next year he's gonna get 27. The year after he'll get 29. The year after he'll get 31.5. The year after he'll get 33.6.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding.
That's horrible. But anyway, yeah, I do agree that contract is like really tough to move. I'm just saying, like, all it takes is one team.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting that you brought up the Knicks, because not only did we go full circle from the Mavs to the Celtics to the Nets to the Timberwolves, but then you took it from the Timberwolves to the Knicks, and I just remember all that speculation about the Knicks are gonna get Kyrie and Kevin Durant, and now we see them eating, crow, I guess, to the point where their consolation prize this season might just be being the only candidate that's willing to take on Andrew Wiggins' almost $30 million a year contract, as well as sign DeMarcus Cousins, and just go forward hoping that maybe by some dumb luck they can make the playoffs. Wow. That's entirely shocking. Moving from the Knicks over to the biggest players in free agency, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, Klay Thompson. KD, I don't know, I would put it right now at 50-50. If it's really about the money and rehabbing, then he could sign a 1-to-1. But I think if he's going to stay in Golden State, he's going to sign that 5-year max. There's really no reason not to, the way I see it. Klay Thompson is most likely staying with the Warriors on a 5-year, $190 million maximum contract. And Kawhi, obviously, we have no idea. So let's finish this episode up with predictions, and I will start here. Kawhi Leonard will not be going to the Lakers. Sorry, all of you purple and gold. Insert the gif of Jack Nicholson holding up the L or holding up the necklace or whatever it is, and just saying Lakers. I mean, House of Highlights put up LeBron, AD, Kawhi, and Drake put on a musical today, and that was a great video to see to start out my day, but sorry guys, it's not happening. I just don't see how Kawhi goes from the Raptors to the Lakers playing next to LeBron. And I hate to say this, but LeBron does use back channels in the media to kind of poo-poo on his teammates. So I don't see how a guy with the personality of Kawhi, somebody that low-key, somebody with a group that's so tight-knit, would let it leak to, of all people, Woj or Ramona Shelburne or ESPN that he wanted to go to the Lakers, right? It's clearly some sort of posturing from the Lakers themselves. And it brings me back to the Al Horford using the Mavs for leverage to get his max contract. You can't trust ESPN, guys. Like, I don't know how many times I have to say this, but they're only so plugged in. And the reason why they spent so much to bring Woj in from Yahoo Sports was simply because he lends them a certain amount of credibility, and it allows them to have a 24-hour news cycle with free agency that is really profitable for them, right? So at the end of the day, where's everybody going? I'm gonna bet that Kawhi ends up in Toronto. I think he's gonna sign that 1-to-1, or he's gonna go for that full 5 years. I think KD probably going to stay with the Warriors. But those are my takes. Fazil, what do you think?
Yeah, so it's really tough to like predict both those guys because they have just an unlimited number of options. But as for KD, damn, this is tough because I want to say the Nets, but like I'm just not sure. I think if he never tore his Achilles, then I would be inclined to say he's going to go back to Golden State. But now I think there's just been so much like not exactly ill will, but perhaps mistrust on his part that's, rightfully so, towards their medical staff, that he'd rather like rehab on another team that has doctors he can trust. The Nets could be that team, especially like if they get Kyrie, that might be alluring for him. Well, not even if, it looks like they will be getting Kyrie, but but it is tough to pass up like all that money if you have all these teams offering you the max, but then Golden State offering, one more year and more money than anybody. Then that's like that's tough to say no to as well, and you still get to play with like Steph playing Draymond. But yeah, I think I guess I will stick with the Nets. I think he might go to the Nets. I don't think he's going to go to Los Angeles, neither the Lakers nor the Clippers. And I'm drawing a blank on like any other real free agency destinations. As for Kawhi, this one's a little more interesting, I think. I do think he goes to Los Angeles, but I think he goes to the Clippers.
I could see it, honestly. From every report about the meeting that he's going to have with the Lakers, he only wants to meet Magic Johnson and Jeannie Buss or something like that.
Right.
He doesn't even want to meet Rob Pelinka. And there were reports that LeBron and AD want to be in the room to pitch him. It seems like Kawhi is really business oriented, right? He's not going to be swayed by his friends, or I should say this, by the super friends. So I'm sorry, Lakers fans, but you're definitely not getting Kawhi Leonard. You're definitely not getting Kyrie Irving. You're definitely not getting Kevin Durant. You should be okay with that. It goes back to the same thing that we were saying about the Mavs. It's a process. And yeah, you got AD. And that's why so many people are mad, because they feel like, you shortcutted the process. And also, every team in the league that is a smaller market has contempt for the Lakers. That's just the way that it is. Relish in it. But the way it's going right now, I can actually see exactly what you're saying, Fazla. I think I think it's obviously going to be one or the other, yours or mine. I do, now that I think about it more, and I think about KD and Golden State and the state of the West itself, I think he's moving out east. So I'll agree with you that he's going to the Nets. No chance that he goes to the Knicks in my mind. But then even on the Nets, the fact that they reportedly want to pair him with Kyrie and DeAndre Jordan is just mind-boggling to me. Like, did the Nets not realize what DeAndre Jordan has kind of recessed into?
Yeah, I don't know about that. Like, I guess the hope with any team, any contending team that signs DeAndre, because I've also read something about him maybe like going to the Lakers. I guess the operating hope, if either of those front offices have like watched him in the past 2 years, um, is that once he goes to like a place he legitimately wants to play that has a real chance of winning, that he'll like put in effort once again. But I don't know, man. He's also like 30 years old, right? Or 31. So maybe the lack of effort is just him getting tired nowadays. So I would hope he doesn't go to Brooklyn. That's going to like mess up a good thing, I feel, because they already have Jared Allen. I feel like he might already be better than DeAndre.
He already is better than DeAndre. We don't even need to ask that question.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's interesting. Like when I see those reports, and I think we're gonna end it after this. When I see those reports, I just feel like maybe the Nets are just swinging for the fences, and I understand why entirely, because they've proven that they have a supporting cast that can help take a guy like D'Angelo Russell to the playoffs. They still have Karis LeVert, right? Still have Dinwiddie, unless he's a free agent. Jarrett Allen, etc., etc. And they're losing Rondae Hollis-Jefferson in all likelihood. But there's something about the chemistry of having three guys as off kilter as Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and DeAndre Jordan. Like, they all seem like they're kind of disgruntled, or there's something behind the way that they behaved with the media, and with DeAndre, the way that he was playing in Dallas and in New York, that it could go really well, and I could see it going exactly the way that you're talking about, where DeAndre really has just not been trying because the Mavs were not going to make the playoffs. But then again, at the very start of the season, DeAndre wasn't playing defense either, and the Mavs had a good roster on paper, right? I don't know. This free agency is, I can tell already, is going to move a lot slower than last year's, especially with the amount of restricted free agents and the main guys being Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard. I don't think anybody is going to speed those guys up. So, we'll see.
yeah, the past few free agencies have gotten some of the largest moves out of the way, like practically instantaneously, right? But now this feels more like, oh God, where's Dwight Howard gonna go back in 2013? Or, oh, where's LeBron gonna go? Or, back like those days again. And in some ways that's kind of nostalgic, and in other ways I'm just like, yo, can we like get something done already? Because I have a life.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if I'll be on our Twitter when free agency actually hits. I've kind of left that up to you and Jay, and I'm really liking the tweets that y'all are putting out. They're definitely the highlight. Yeah, this free agency is so much stress to me, man. So much stress to me. I really sincerely hope that Pat Bev is signed on the dotted line within the first, 12, 18 hours. And after that, it's you're more than anything not just playing with house money, you're really just signing role players and trying to accrue as many assets as possible. So I don't think there's any way that the Mavs lose this offseason. Unless, of course, crossing my fingers here, Kristaps just leaves, which he's not going to do.
That's practically impossible. Yeah, basically we treated after it became apparent that we weren't going to do anything this past season, we treated the season itself as like our acquisition time, and now this is just like the putting on the finishing touches for the roster because we've already got a decent core. I don't want to say it's elite, but it's certainly I like it, but it needs more work, and I hope that's what these moves are for.
Yeah, and if Mavs fans need, I don't know, some solace, Giannis Antetokounmpo is a free agent in 2021. So, just let your hopes and dreams kind of take a back seat until then, and then we'll see. At that point, if the Bucks haven't won a championship, I can see Giannis wanting to go anywhere, and he's 24. Kristaps is 23. Luka is about to be 21. So, all these free agents seem to be congregating with people that they are around the same age with, and that came into the league at the same time as they did. So I don't know. I'll get on that hype train before I get on, I don't know, Al Horford coming here for $150 million.
God, yeah, I love Al Horford because he's a very underrated player, but not for that money and not at that age, please.
Yeah, the Celtics. I mean, more than losing Kyrie, obviously, because Kyrie was kind of toxic. Losing Al Horford is going to be a big loss for them, and even if they add Kemba, I don't think that they're going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals next year. Let me just say that. It's going to be Sixers Bucks if Kawhi leaves, and if Kawhi stays in Toronto, it's going to be a really, really tough gauntlet there too.
Yeah, so I guess let's all get excited for the inevitable Luka, Giannis, Kristaps core that's just gonna wreck the league. The best big three in league history, Slovenia, Latvia, and Greek coming right at you.
Yeah, Greek and Nigerian. Can't forget that second part.
Oh yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Hey, Mavs fans, if you want to have unadulterated excitement with absolutely no realism involved at all, right? Hop on the Giannis 2021 train. Do it now, okay? Be super positive to Giannis. Be super positive to Kostas on social media, in person, everything, right? Don't harass them. Be super nice. And you know what? Maybe they'll think that this place is a good place to live and a great place to play basketball.
Yeah, and with 3 easy payments of $19.99, Alex Antetokounmpo could be yours.
Oh yeah, did you see that Reddit post about Nike copying Fred VanVleet's logo for Giannis's?
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that because at that point, that's like sort of level of news that I can't really honestly be bothered to care about. But I did see the logos put together, and there might be a case there.
I mean, the Giannis logo actually leaked. I want to say in like last year, at the end of last year, the shoe and everything, all of it leaked. So
right. Okay.
Honestly, I don't put that much stock into it. I just think people want to hate on Nike, or people want to draw. They want to draw parallels between whatever they can, and the lawsuit that Kawhi has and that New Balance has against Nike is just kind of putting fuel into the fire. I don't know. I don't think it's that deep, Reddit. All right. So, I believe that the Mavs are going to get Patrick Beverley and Bojan Bogdanovic. If that's the case, great offseason. You did everything that you needed to do. Puzzle?
Yeah, if that happens, that's a great offseason. Personally, I feel like the Mavericks are going to get Patrick Beverly and Patrick Beverly. Like, it's still too early for me to call. Like, that's the only move I feel confident about. I think they will get Pat Bev, and I guess I'm gonna have to root for him. Which I don't actually dislike Patrick Beverly. It's just in some cases, I don't know. Is it a good thing that I'm saving my hottest take for the very end of the episode? I I don't know, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Like I feel like Pat Bev is more of a piece that a contending team can make better use of than like a retooling slash building team like ours. Not to say that he won't be good for the Mavericks and that he won't help push us to a potential playoffs berth, but like if you, I think the team that makes the fullest utilization of somebody with his like specific skill set and all the defensive, you know, awareness and grit would be a team like the Rockets or the Raptors or something like that. But hey, if he wants to come to Dallas, be my guest. I'll drive him myself for anywhere he wants for an entire year.
All right, you better hope that this podcast does not go viral, because he will definitely hear that and he will take you up on it. And if he DMs the Reunion Lights account, I'm gonna give him your name. All right.
All right. I won't welch on that. Okay. So we'll see.
Sweet. Yeah, we'll see where the dominoes fall, right? Predictions are obviously just that, predictions. We here at Reunion Lights don't like to tell you that we have sources unless we're entirely joking and making something up, like Jay was the other day when he said the Washington Wizards have signed former Vice President Joe Biden as their president of basketball operations.
That was hilarious.
That's a golden tweet, my dude. It's a golden tweet. Yeah, so hopefully Jay can be on the podcast post free agency. Hopefully the Mavs don't just entirely turn into a flaming wreck after this free agency period. But we will see.
All right.
Sounds good. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Under Reunion Lights podcast, and we will see you guys next week or the week after with episode 4.